When we examine the Egyptian pyramids and the massive stone blocks that comprise the core masonry, many of us are still unable to comprehend how such massive stone blocks were even moved, despite the fact that there are some excellent explanations for how the pyramid was constructed, such as the work of architect Jean Pierre Houdan, who has studied the Great Pyramid in great detail for the past 22 years. The famous Greek historian Herodotus described how the pyramids were constructed step by step, with machinery used to raise the stones into their proper positions. They were lifted by one machine from the ground to the top of the first step, moved by another machine from step 1 to step 2, and so on, using machines made of small wooden planks. This sounds like a device used as a counterbalance. Herodotus was writing more than 2,000 years after the end of the ancient Egyptian 4th dynasty, so it goes without saying that he is not a modern source. This also suggests that, although his writings were frequently well-informed, he may have been trained in Old Kingdom building techniques while in Egypt, or he may have been recording his own educated estimates. Simply put, we are unaware of his sources. In any case, Herodotus is a source, but without any further evidence to support his assertions, he isn't entirely trustworthy. Large-scale ancient Egyptian construction projects undoubtedly made use of antiquated technology, such as pulleys and counterweight devices. Whether you trust Jean Pierre Houdan's explanations or the words of Herodotus, I think everyone can agree that some sort of technology was employed rather than the antiquated idea of numerous guys using brute force to move a stone behind them. Not only were there grandiose construction projects at Giza, there was also a lot of digging. The Osiris Shaft, which is situated right off the causeway, is at least 6th dynasty in origin, according to archaeological data. The depth of this shaft is 114 feet. The depth of Campbell's tomb, which is behind the Sphinx, is 72 feet. Because of this, the ancient Egyptians had to lift massive volumes of limestone that had been excavated from depth, which required the use of technology. The arrangements and techniques used on the ancient Egyptian construction sites are still as obvious as mud, so maybe I don't have all the answers. However, a piece of the puzzle was found little over 90 years ago, but it is sometimes overlooked. Few are aware of the findings made in the 1930s by the astute and forward-thinking Egyptologist Sim Hassan, which were thoroughly recorded in his 1960 work, The Great Pyramid of Khufu, in his mortuary chapel. Hassan worked to remove the remnants of Queen Ka from the Pyramid City between 1932 and 1933. These constructions were located east of the severely degraded pyramid light structure. He discovered a basalt rock artifact in one brick home. With 3 grooves on one edge and a hole running through it, it had a highly unique shape. He found another object, which was an exact replica of the first one, in 1935, while tidying up a region east of the Pyramid of Khafre 2 years later. It seems that more have been discovered since. Owing to the rock's obviously functional purpose, Hassan consulted several architects. After some debate and modeling, the architects concluded that the objects were, in fact, proto-pulleys, or pulleys, that the ancient Egyptians had used as a component of an antiquated device that was probably made of wood to raise massive weights. Since the first basalt object was discovered in a 4th dynasty context, and the second one was nearly identical, it was reasonable to assume that the builders of the pyramids did have technical tools and devices to help with the movement and lifting of large weights, or large blocks of limestone and granite. Yes, the modern definition of a machine differs from that used by Herodotus. And no, it's not quite as exciting as the amazing Greek Antikythera mechanism. The majority of Egyptologists thought the Egyptians were too primitive to have invented it until its discovery in the 1930s. The concept was regarded as implausible. However, Hassan had discovered unmistakable proof that this was untrue. As mentioned, he thought they were a part of a bigger apparatus, perhaps the same devices that Herodotus described as being used to lift the blocks of limestone into place. As mentioned, Basalt was used to make these pulleys, if that's what they are. These pulleys could endure significant pressures and strains because, as stated in Hassan's book, they were constructed from extremely solid stone. The Oxford English Dictionary defines a pulley as follows. According to Hassan, the pulley is one of the simple mechanical powers consisting of a grooved wheel mounted in a block so that a cord or the like may pass over it, used for changing the direction of power, especially for the raising of weight by pulling downwards. The artifacts discovered by Hassan were measured at 24 centimeters by 18, or around 9.5 and by 7. It was evident from their form that they were not little objects and that they served a purpose in the Old Kingdom. It resembles a spindle from the front, with a hole in the bottom to provide stability. 3 rope grooves that may be smoothly pulled by the workers are seen from the side. It is not impossible that many of these pulleys were fixed near each other and then used at the same time in the case of raising a stone of enormous weights. Hassan stated, following consultation with architects. According to Hassan, one of the old pulleys was put to the test, and he claims that it did its job admirably and superbly. According to him, the function of the old pulley was just as good as that of a contemporary pulley. Since Salim Hassan's 1960 publication, Egyptologists have continued to debate over the object's true nature. Although there is a compelling argument that it is a proto-pulley, others dispute this theory by pointing out that the object lacks the rimmed wheel of a true pulley and reject the notion that it is a bearing stone. I believe that the device's mushroom-shaped top was intended to be covered by 3 ropes. The robust material, the hard basalt rock, and the obvious shift in pull direction that the object would offer, all appear to indicate that it was intended to be used to draw huge loads. This end, I assume, would have slid into bedrock, a stone, a wooden post, or some other apparatus, and just as the ankh of a mail from the Old Kingdoms were pinned, a stone or wooden pin would have passed through the hole to hold it in place. This artifact allowed some people to pull a stone block not only from the front, but also from the back, which would accelerate its forward motion. Several of the items may have been arranged along a ramp. The wooden devices that Jean Pierre Houdan says were erected in and around the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid, a substantial counterweight system intended to raise the massive granite beams, may have also been equipped with these prototype pulleys. It's also possible that they were already in Sudoku while the deep gyre shafts were being excavated. Teams of workers might have used proto-pulleys to lower a container that was tied to ropes and then raised it after filling it with rubbish. The pulley would be used to direct the ropes as the workers pulled laterally, or perhaps they were employed to gently lower the stone coffers into the Arish shaft, Campbell's tomb, and other locations at Giza, with people draping ropes over them. It is an example of technology from the 4th dynasty of ancient Egypt, regardless of its intended application. There is a reason it was made of herestone. It is obvious that this is a useful tool that was thoughtfully designed with a specific purpose, because it includes 3 grooves and a hole for that reason. Interestingly, a news article on a 4,500-year-old ramp device found at the ancient quarry site, known as Hatnub, broke 3 years ago. There was a steep ramp exposed with 2 post-hole-filled staircases on either side. The posts in each post hole, according to the archaeologists' hypothesis, were probably part of an old pulley system. Workers would be on the stairwells, and a stone would be on a sledge in the middle of the ramp. A proto-pulley stone might have been fixed to each post of the ropes that circled the sledge, allowing workers to be lowered down the staircase and pull down the ramp, while others would have been stationed higher up on the stairs to pull the stone. The ramp in the quarry is 4th dynasty in antiquity, and if this technique was utilized at an Old Kingdom quarry, it's very possible it was used at a significant building site, such as Giza.